Piano by D.H. Lawrence is a poem about masculinity, memories and music. The whole poem is written in the form of 3 quatrains with rhyming couplets. It might be that this is meant to be like a song, and maybe you could argue that that helps to create a slow-paced, nostalgic tone. The narrator is listening to someone play the piano and is transported back to a childhood memory of listening to his mother play while he crouches under the piano. I don't know if you've ever been listening to a piece of music and it doesn't just remind you of someone or something, but actually seems to take you there. There's something very powerful about the way that music can do that, isn't there? Maybe that's why he uses so much onomatopoeia, like tingling strings, and so many other sensory references, like the cosy parlour in the poem. He wants to engage you and immerse you as a reader, in the same way that he is overcome by the experience that he is reliving. This poem reminds me of being a child and the feelings of security that that can stir up. There's a sense that as an adult, you have worries and stresses and burdens, you have mortgages and bills to pay, people relying on you, a family to provide for, a job to keep, a house to look after. You've got a lot to lose and no one's necessarily going to step in if you lose it. As a child, on the other hand, for lots of people, but not everyone of course, life is relatively carefree. Your parents are in charge. They'll sort out the bills and the food on the table because they'll always be there because they're parents and that's what parents do. Now, if you're thinking, well, that's not what my childhood was like, then bring that response to an examiner. Explain that the narrator seems to present an idealised view of childhood, perhaps, and it's not one that you can relate to. He certainly seems to feel a sense of belonging, though, doesn't he? Look at lines 7 and 8. The heart of me weeps to belong to the old Sunday evenings at home, where he feels protected under the piano. Maybe the use of the definite article the could even be significant in the noun phrase the piano. It's not just any old piano, it's the one he remembers from his childhood. We often have very vivid memories of our childhood, and if we think back to our parents' or grandparents' sitting room, we can often remember specific items of furniture and even the pattern on the carpet. These are objects that are familiar and fixed. They're stable and permanent, and they offer him a sense of belonging and security. When I say to my own children that we're thinking of changing an item of furniture or redesigning the house in some way, they're often outraged, not because they think the house is the epitome of fashion and style already, but because they don't want the familiar taken away. The familiar makes you feel safe. It's that feeling of safety that he's hit by in the opening stanza. You could even argue that there's something womb-like about the position of the child. He's enclosed and hidden, in contact with his mother. This transportation back to a moment in his childhood is not all positive, though. It makes him feel threatened. Look at all the negative lexis in the second stanza. Spite, insidious, betrays, weeps and winter. There's a sense, I feel, of him losing control. He's being dragged back in spite of himself, exposing his inner child and making himself vulnerable in a way that he would rather avoid. As an adult, he's put on a mask, a facade of control and composure, a front that suggests he's coping with all the pressures of adult life. And this piece of music is taking control over him with its insidious mastery, revealing the heart of him, his real self. There's the issue of his image as a man to consider here. Is it notable, for instance, that in the last line he weeps like a child? Why can't he weep like a man? In fact, why does there need to be a simile at all? Why can't he just weep? It doesn't seem as if the desire for protection or maternal comfort or a display of vulnerability are compatible with stereotypical masculinity. When he says, "My manhood is cast down," he's suggesting the overwhelming emotions flooding his mind at this moment require him to abandon any pretense and regress to a childlike state. There could even be a hint at the sexual impotence he experiences at this moment. As these childhood memories and emotions flood his mind, there's a sense in which he feels stripped of his status as a man. If you found that useful, then please like it and share it and subscribe to English Gorillas. Thanks a lot.